Hello, welcome to IAS Factor, and we are going for this wonderful revision program for ancient India. So, we thought we'll actually start with the ancient Indian topic. So, we'll start with revision series. Why? Because ancient India is one such area where we feel most of the aspirants preparing for the UPSC, they do not study ancient India or medieval India. Hence what happens when they do not learn ancient India, when they do not learn medieval India, what really happens is they do not understand Indian culture, because Indian culture as a topic is completely built on the ancient and medieval India. So what really happens is they do not understand this whole topic, and they really find it disinteresting to learn ancient India. Because that is why I'm doing this revision series, so that for your prelims as well as mains, whenever you want to learn Indian culture, I'm taking Indian culture as a separate topic also. So whenever there is an ancient India, medieval India coming in, you need to get the timeline, because ultimately what is the strategy of learning ancient India? The ultimate strategy is getting a timeline. Because apart from the facts, because I'm sure you will not be able to remember many of the facts, and if you spend too much time on ancient India, medieval India, we don't know. And in the last so many years, we can really understand that the UPSC prelims, even the prelims examination, is having a lot of questions from ancient and medieval India. So that is the reason. So approaching facts is a wrong thing. Maybe get the most important facts, but if you go for facts, there are endless, infinite facts in ancient and medieval India which you will never complete. So get the timeline. See, know what exactly happened. There is an Indus Valley civilization. After that, civilization is getting declined. The rise of Aryans and the later Vedic period, the Mahajanapadas, Buddhism, Jainism, the before the pre-Mauryan, there is the Haryanka dynasty, Shishunaga dynasty, and then the Nanda dynasty, and then the Mauryan dynasty, then the post-Mauryas, the Sungas, Kanvas, and then the Indo-Greeks, Parthians, Bactrians, and all those aspects, and Guptan period and post-Gupta, Harshavardhan. See, this is the timeline that I just said. This clarity needs to come in, and you need to know some of the facts from each and every area. That is more than sufficient for the UPSC examination. So do not be a master. Let's get the most important content. That will be the strategy. Okay, so this is our first session, and let's go to the first important session, and we'll start off with the Stone Age and the Chalcolithic phase, because there is some important points which is overlapping with the anthropology also. If you are taking anthropology optional, these are some of the subjects which are very similar to that. So let's quickly take Stone Age and Chalcolithic phase. Why did I introduce this topic? We'll actually have an understanding. Okay, so let's discuss, and let's go to the next important content. Yeah, my name is Arjun R. Sankar. In case I might be a new name for many of you, but I'm the founder and director of IAS Factor, and I've been teaching for the past 15 years as of 2025. And check out my detailed profile, and this is what I am. And let's get into the content first. So this chapter explores prehistoric human evolution in India, especially during the Stone and Chalcolithic age. So before you understand all these things, let me give you a brief idea about what history. So when we start about history, when you learn about ancient India, many of you think that we learn or start the class by Indus Valley civilization or Mohenjo-daro or Harappa civilization, which many of you think we are starting, but no. It starts from that, but we have to extend it backwards. When you extend it backwards, you will see that there is a prehistoric period, and you must have heard about the word called prehistoric period. And you must have also heard about Paleolithic period, Neolithic period. So either you can classify it from historical perspective, or you can even classify it from the geographical perspective, but understand the Paleolithic or the prehistoric period. So when you trace back, you will actually find how the mankind or the humans were created. The genesis. We are not following the religious content here. We're not taking the religious aspects. We're looking at the historical and geographical aspects. So the right from the evolution of humans, how the humans began, or how the humans came into this world and they started walking. And then you can see that more than 5 lakh BC. 5 lakh BC to 1 lakh BC is one important period. And then you can take 1 lakh BC to 40,000 BC is another period. 40,000 BC is another period, and 40,000 BC, the 40,000 BC to 9,000 BC is one important. So you must have seen that BC is going backwards. So that is one thing that we learn in BC is going backwards, and history, the AD is Anno Domini, that is before Christ, and this is Anno Domini, it goes forward. So we are in AD 2025, and BC means it goes backwards. So get this idea. So before we learn Indus Valley, we need to go back and find out, so prehistoric period or Paleolithic period. So understand that 5 lakh BC, imagine 5 to 6 lakh BC to 40,000 BC, we call it as the 1 lakh BC, not 40,000, 5 lakh BC to 1 lakh BC, we call it as the early Paleolithic period. See, these dates and years can be confusing and it can be different for many things, but this is for a general understanding. Do not say that this has not come, this is a different year and a different book. This is just a general understanding to give you an idea that this is so long. And maybe 1 lakh BC to 40,000 BC, that means exactly 40,000 BC, which comes in the middle Paleolithic period. People have started, and 40,000 BC to 9,000 BC as the upper Paleolithic period. So there is an early Paleolithic period, and there is a middle Paleolithic period, and there is an upper Paleolithic period. So all these periods are very, very important, and 9000 BC is very important because this is the period called the starting of Neolithic cultures or the Neolithic period. You know why I said Neolithic period is important? You know why? You know, man and women, the people, humans existed during this time. From this time, they were nomads, they were traveling in the forest, they got weapons, they started making blades, they started using stones. Likewise, you can see the evolution. Even if you look at the tools that they used, you can see the evolution. Initially, they used rough stones, then they started using most polished stones, crude, sharpened tools. When humans evolved, you can see that. Just like we say, we use mobile phones. It was initially an old phone, and now we are looking at iPhones. What is the advancement? This is how it evolves. And 9000 BC is important because Neolithic period is very, very important. Because Neolithic period is when man for the first time, they started to settle down, started agriculture, settling like a family. So these periods are very, very important. So in this module, I'll be discussing this complete things, and we'll get, this is the idea, this is the context that I told you. And from this context, now we'll build the most important facts, which is useful for the UPSC exam, and that is also based from a PYQ trend-based thing. See, I'm not randomly telling any points. I'm telling the points from the UPSC prelims and prelims level facts. Okay, so let's understand the Stone Age and the Chalcolithic period, Neolithic period, the different periods. So like you said, on the basis of the tools, obviously imagine 5 lakh BC means 5 lakh years before. How do you think people used weapons? They must have used stone or bones or whatever they got it. And look at that, 5 lakh BC, and now how many weapons do we have now? So even the tools and the weapons has got an evolution history. So number one, Paleolithic period, before 10,000 BC, Mesolithic period, Neolithic period. So it is a period that we need to understand. Forget about the timeline to get a timeline easily. So we'll understand the timeline. So understand that we need to learn about the Paleolithic or the prehistoric period, the Mesolithic period, Neolithic period, and the Chalcolithic period, the use of copper. And so before you get this correct, always understand the Stone Age. We start with the prehistoric period. I told you we start with the prehistoric period, and it starts with three important things: early, middle, and the lower Paleolithic period. You know why lower Paleolithic period is very important? Because this is very important. They have asked previous year question paper. This is the time when the painting started. People started to paint in the caves, like the Bimbetka caves, even in Spain, Altamira caves. All these are from NCERT, the Altamira caves. So lower Paleolithic period is the time when people started to paint. Please remember that fact very clearly. And after that, the most important thing that we discuss is the Neolithic period. Man started to settle down, and after Neolithic period, the important thing comes as the Chalcolithic period, when they started using copper. So please understand, iron was not used here. There is no mention of iron here. Iron is not at all used here. Iron comes in a later phase. In India, you can check out like the Buddhism and Jainism after Vedic society, later Vedic society, you can see the rise of Mahajanapadas. There you can see the advent of iron coming in, the discovery of iron. And in between the prehistoric, the upper Paleolithic period and Neolithic, there is a transitionary period, and that period is called as the Mesolithic period. So please understand, this is a transitionary period. It is between this transitionary period. So between upper Paleolithic, early, middle, upper, between upper and Neolithic, there is a Mesolithic period. We call it as a transitionary period. And the most important tools that you find during this time is called the microlith. This is the microlith, and this is the kind of a tool that is being developed during this time. So you should understand what exactly is the concept of microlith. Get this period correctly. Dates can be different because, when you say Neolithic is 9,000 and it goes backwards, 9,000, 8,000, 7,000, 5,000, 4,000. This dates can be different in different period. So always understand, dates can be different. Okay, so dates can be really different. So get this idea clearly. And now let's get some facts correct. From the UPSC perspective, let's get the facts correct. And let's go forward. So time frame. So humans were basically hunter-gatherers, relying on wild animals and edible plants. So this was the first important humans. They lived in caves and rock shelters. That is why they are called as the cavemen. They're called as the cavemen. And tools made of hard stone, like quartzite, hence sometimes called the quartzite man. You know why? Because initially the tools will not be that much polished, that the tools will be very primitive. That is why we say the tools were made from quartzite. So quartzite man, caveman, all these are the old Stone Age. Tools included hand axes, cleavers, scrapers, choppers. So these names are very, very important. Hand axes, cleavers, scrapers, choppers, and after some time they started using burins. There is another important thing. After some time they started using burins. First it was hand axe, cleavers, choppers, then they started using burins. And fire may have been used for protection and cooking. So definitely they knew about fire and it was used for cooking and protection. So get this idea correct. This is how humans are creating and humans are evolving. And some of the major sites. See, previously, this is what UPSC does in prelims. You need to know some of the sites. Sohan Valley or Sohan Valley in Pakistan, one of the earliest tool making sites. So know about Sohan Valley. Pahalgam and Akhnur. I don't have to tell you about Pahalgam because Pahalgam, a lot of people people who are not from Kashmir, you do not know Pahalgam. Pahalgam was just a tourist place, but when you see Pahalgam, it is as old as the Stone Age. So Akhnur in Jammu and Kashmir, and the Balan Valley in UP, Bhimbetka, known for rock painting. So when you see Bhimbetka, I can say that it is part of the Upper Paleolithic period, because remember this point, Upper Paleolithic is a period when man for the first time, you can see the evidence of painting. Not only in India, you go up, you take any time in the history, any civilization, you see the Upper Paleolithic period, man was evolving and they started painting. So get this idea clearly. Okay, that's it. And Sohan Valley, Pahalgam, Akhnur, Balan Valley, Bhimbetka, some of the important sites. And moving on to the other division of Paleolithic period, you can even see some of the important content in this regard. So Upper Paleolithic, this is already, I've given you this. See, Paleolithic means rough tools, hunting, scavenging. Middle means refined flakes and scrapers. Then upper means blade tools, use of bone, shelters. So obviously you are getting evolved. Your evolution has become much more better. This is obvious. This is how you evolve, and your evolution is very clear in this. And now let's look at the Mesolithic period. I said this is a transitionary period. So you can see many of the features that you see in the Neolithic period is from this. So 10,000 to 8,000 BC. Roughly you can see Neolithic is 9,000 BCE almost. But in the middle you have a transitionary. So some of the features that you see in the Mesolithic, Neolithic period is a beginning that you can see in the Mesolithic period. So that is to be noted. So transition phase from hunting to semi-sedentary life. They started to settle down Tools became microlith. Remember, this is the Mesolithic tool that I just told you, microlith. It's a small, sharp, and often composite tied to wood or bone. They tie it to the wood and then they use it. So this is one thing. And the evidence of domestication of animals like dog and cattle. And the most important thing you can see in Neolithic, but Mesolithic period, you can see the evidence of domestication. Seasonal movement began to reduce, longer stays near rivers and fertile areas. Man started to move in. Plant cultivation, food production, rock paintings in Bhimbetka show hunting, dancing, and community life. So from upper Paleolithic period, they are slowly moving to the Neolithic and they are coming into the Mesolithic and then Neolithic. Bhimbetka and Lagnach in Gujarat and Bagor in Rajasthan and Adamgarh in MP. So previously, when we used to prepare for the UPSC, there was we had two optionals, and back then days you didn't have the CSAT, so you had the optional subject. So my optional subject was history and public administration. So I took history as the prelims paper. Back then you don't have to have the CSAT, you need to have the option. So we used to learn each and every area very specifically for the examination. That is how it was. So Bagor is an area which was, I still remember, where the fish hook was found. They found a fish hook from the Rajasthan, Bagor, Adamgarh, etc. So now I somehow get a feeling that a lot of people might even agree that in case of CSAT, if there was an optional subject, definitely it would have been more easy. But UPSC has changed it. So this is Mesolithic period, and moving on to the next important content. Mesolithic we have discussed, and moving on to the next important one is the Neolithic stone, the new stone age, or the Neo. Neo means new and lithic means stone. That is why Paleolithic, the old stone, lithic means stone, paleo old, neo means new. So roughly 9000 or 8000 BC to 4000 BC in parts of India. You can see the start of agriculture. All these are points for prelims. Animal husbandry, permanent houses with mud and stone. Man and women, the humans started to settle down. That is the most important thing. Tools were polished, including axes, adzes, grinding stone, and pottery began to be used, handmades, burnished, and painted in later phase. Life became more settled and community oriented. See, just imagine the life that we have. The kind of a life, almost the kind of a life that we have, was first seen in Neolithic period completely. So that is the importance of new stone age when people started to live in. So remember, all these points are the features they can ask you in prelims, which are the features of Neolithic. So these are the important features. Let's get some of the important sites. Mehergarh in Balochistan, very, very important. UPSC has asked this question. This is the PYQ. See, PYQ doesn't mean that you must have read PYQ from 2011 only. I have read PYQs before even that, because that is how we used to prepare. So Mehergarh is the earliest evidence of agriculture of wheat and barley in the Indian subcontinent. That is how they have given it. It is the earliest evidence of agriculture in the Indian subcontinent. And Barza home, understand this, Barza home in Jammu Kashmir, pit dwellings and dog burials. Please remember, even there is Barza home, pit dwellings, and dogs were buried with the masters. And there is even another place called Gufkral, which means the cave of potters. The cave of potters, which means Gufkral. There is another place in Barza home. So dogs were buried means pit dwellings means, remember, Barza home. And Chirand in Bihar, Koldiva and Mahagara in UP, Hallur and Payampalli in Tamil Nadu. So all these are Neolithic sites. I'm sure it was very difficult to remember all the names, but if you cannot remember the names, get a recollection. Try to recollect the names. That is easy. If you cannot remember the names, try to recollect. That's it. And moving on, Chalcolithic period. So when the use of copper, 3000 to 1000 BC, it's regionally different. The dates can differ, but features don't differ. The copper tools were used along the stone tools. Farming and arming, animal rearing were common. Painted pottery was used. Black and red were ochre color pottery. So these are all different type of pottery. So you will understand there are different type of pottery. We'll discuss in art and culture called PGW, NBPW. There is all these are pottery. PGW, NBPW, northern black polished ware, painted grey ware, and ochre color pottery. And NBPW was the one thing, and black and BRW, black and red ware. So all these are different type of potteries which is allocated, which is found in certain area. In northern black polish ware, is it found in the Mauryan period? Black and red ware, ochre color pottery and painted gray. So these are all different type of potteries which is actually found. Burial indicates social stratification and rituals. Rich people have different burials and poor people have different burials, obviously. Sites were often fortified and show early signs of trade and storage. So these are all important factors relating to the Chalcolithic period. So get this correct. And the key Chalcolithic sites in India are the Ahar Banas culture in Rajasthan. So you remember the Ahar and Banas. So they are in Rajasthan. BRW, sorry, it's a red and black pottery, copper tools. Malwa culture in Madhya Pradesh, agriculture. Jorwe culture in Maharashtra. So remember, these words are very, very important. Chalcolithic means Jorwe, Ahar, and all these are Chalcolithic. They have advanced farming, granaries, and ritualistic burials. They are called as Jorwe culture. So remember, Ahar, Banas, Jorwe are all Chalcolithics. So these are all Chalcolithic things that we can really find it out here. So moving on to the next important content is the art and the rock art and cultural aspects. So these are all Indian art and culture topics. Definitely I'll take them. But understand we need to find about the Bimbetka, the cave paintings, and the paintings depict animals, hunting scenes, human figurines, etc. We need to understand all these concepts also. So these are the important points that you need to get for the examination. These are the bare minimum points that you need to get for the examination. And what are some of the other things that we need to find in? 1 second. One second. Let me hold it again. Let me change the pen. Okay. So limitations of prehistoric period. So these are some of the important, sorry for the delay. So I was actually, okay, these are some of the important things that we need to understand. The prehistoric period, take an idea about the prehistoric period. No written records. It's completely related on archaeological evidence because dating is done using the radiocarbon, dendrochronology and stratigraphy. So it's very difficult. It is not uniform across India. This is one point. The cultural transitions are not uniform. It is different from different period. So always understand that. Paleolithic is the oldest and the Neolithic culture different in northwest. Mehergarh it is 7,000. South and Karnataka, Tamil Nadu it is 3,000. In Ganga Valley it is 2,500. So the Neolithic period is different. Obviously man did not settle down uniformly. Northwest it started to settle down, but in South India, Tamil Nadu it was a later time. So do not understand that it was uniform. It was not uniform. It was unequal. And yes, these are all the important content. Yes, these are some of the important content for the day. So this is the important things, and next we'll discuss about the Indus Valley and the other important aspects. So I've used the NCRTs for this. These are the important points or facts. I just said before, there are a lot of infinite number of points. If you keep adding it, you will never complete it, because during the optional time we used to refer 2 or 3 books just for prehistoric period to get the facts. But now things have changed. Get the minimum things just for NCRT. That is more than sufficient for your prelims examination and to get an idea for the mains. Okay, thank you, and let's see for the next session.